Hi there, my name's Mark and I'd like to just go through a Sudoku solution with you using a slightly different format, as you can see in front of you. Most of the time the newspaper will give you a problem that looks something like that, and frankly I find it a bit too small to write all the small numbers. Everybody has a different way of solving it, but usually it involves little small numbers. So instead what I've done is I've made my own grid with the numbers 1 to 9 in each of the cells, and by eliminating them with a big black marker we can kind of isolate what the solution is for each cell. I'm assuming that people who look at this video have done Sudokus before and are familiar with the basic rules of each row and each column requiring the numbers 1 to 9 without any duplications, and within each of the actual blocks one also has to have the numbers 1 to 9 without any repetitions. So what I'm going to do is transfer these numbers onto the grid and go from there. So as to not get too confused with all the little black dots, what I like to do, although a bit time consuming, is to actually block out all the dots, all the numbers in each of the cells, so that it's not confusing later on when solving the problem. So I'll just do that quickly as well. So that's quite time consuming, but a good exercise in dexterity. So now it's necessary to go across each row and down each column and in each block and isolate all the numbers that it can't be anymore with black dots. So I'll do that now, first of all starting with rows. And now I'll check all the columns. And finally we look at each of the blocks. And that completes the initial setup. It's time to look along the rows. On the very first row I see something of interest, which is the fact that we have a triplet. So in these three cells, 2, 4, 9, 2, 4 and 2, 9, those three cells contain only three numbers, 2, 4s and 9s, which means that the 2, 4 and 9 must go in those three cells, which means on this left hand one it cannot contain a 2, 4 or 9, which means that we've immediately got a solution for that top left hand cell, which is a 6. And now I need to go down the columns and check that, make sure there's no more 6s showing, because we've got that number covered, and also through the block, and obviously across that we've already checked that. So we've got a triplet 2, 4, 9, 2. Interestingly, in this third row we have another triplet of 2, 4s and 9s. 2, 4, 9, 2, 4, 9 and 2 and 9. So those have to contain all those, which means we can get rid of the 2, 4 and 9s and all the other cells on that particular row, which leaves us with a pair here, 5 and 7, 5 and 7, which means that there can be no other 5 and 7s in that row, which means we can knock out that 7, leaving us with a solution of 8. So now I need to knock off the 8s within that column. Moving down to this row, I have a pair in the right hand side, a 3 and a 4 and a 3 and a 4, which means I can't have any more 3s or 4s within that row. And that leaves me with another solution, which is the 9 here. So I need to eliminate the 9s in the row and the columns. And we have another solution that's appeared, which is the 6 in this cell here. So once again, coming down, eliminating all the 6s, eliminating all the 6s in that row, and we've identified another solution, which is 1 here. So get rid of all the 1s, no 1s along that column, and no 1s in that row, no 1s in that block. Another solution we have here is 5. That's appeared from all the eliminations we've done. So get rid of all the 5s within that block, within that row, and within that column. There's no more. So we're left with just one pair over here, 3 and 4. So we can say in that bottom block that that pair means that the 3 and 4 goes there, which means there can't be any 3s and 4s in any other cells within that block. And we're left with a block where there's only one place where there's a 1. So that needs to be the solution. That must be a 1 in that block there. And there's no more 1. So in that bottom cell, we've now got 2 pairs, a 3 and a 4 and a 7 and 8. In this block to the left of it, I can see we've got 2 pairs, a 3, 7 and a 3, 7, which means that this one must be the 8. And what we now have on the right hand side is a 7 all by itself, so that is a solution for that particular cell, which means that this bottom one has to be the 8 because it was a pair. I don't like to jump ahead of myself too much because it's easy to make mistakes, but I'll just check for 7 and 8s coming down here. And I'll check for 7s in this row and 8s in this row. So we have another solution that's turned up here, which is the 3. And once again, that means this must be the 7. So I'll do the same thing and just carefully go up and down and across. So no 3s and 7s here. It's just 1 3 and there's the 1 7. Got another solution turned up there. And check that there's no more 3s and no 7s in this one. So we have that 5 that appeared up here. So we'll write that in as one of the solutions. We have another solution that appeared down here. We have a 9, which means this one must be the 3. Another solution that's appeared is this 7 here. As we progress, it becomes less and less to knock off, obviously. Another opportunity I've spotted is looking down this particular column. You can see we've got a pair of 2 9. So that means between here and there, all the 2 9s are covered, which means there can't be any 2 9s anywhere else. So we can get rid of that 2 9, get rid of that 2, get rid of that 2, and that 9. Which leaves us with that solution of 3 here. Checking down this particular column, all the numbers that are still visible, we have a 2 and a 4, we have a 2 4 6, 1 2 4 6, and a 2 4 6. The only place we have a 1 is in that cell, which means that must be the solution for that cell. In the first column, we have another pair as well. We have a 2 4 and a 2 4, which means that's where the 2s and 4s go, which means we can get rid of all the 2s and 4s in the other cells in that particular column. which leaves us a solution of 9 for here, which must be a 1 for there, which gives us another solution of 2 for that cell. Get rid of the 2 there, that becomes a 4. In fact, it has to be a 4 because it's the only number left in that particular row. We've got the 2 here. We've completed that top left-hand block. We've also got this solution here we can come back to, which is a 9. So we're left with just the 4 as the option here in the middle. I haven't eliminated that 7 before, as I should have. So it becomes a 4. Another solution we have here is a 7, which means this one must be a 9, which means the last one there is a 5. So I'll just try and remember all those and cross out all the options. So no more 5s in this column, no more 7s in this column, and no more 9s in this column. And we're left with a pair 2, 4 in the top right. The next thing I see is that within this block here, we do have a pair 4, 7 and 4, 7, which means that will be a 4 and a 7, which means the 4s and 7s can't be anywhere else within this block. So I can knock out all those 4s as a result. That same logic applies over in this block where we've got a pair of 5s and 7s, which means those two cells are occupied by 5 and 7, which means that anything else in that particular block can't be a 5 or a 7. I'm now going to do just a quick check along those 3 middle rows where there's still quite a lot of answers to be found, just to see if there's any unique numbers. So here I see we have a 2, 2, 2, we have 3, 3, we have a 4 there, but no 4s anywhere else, which means that that number must be a 4. And equally, the number below now has become a 7. Now continuing that check, I'll just do that again. Right, we've got the 1, 4 and 9, so we've got more than 1, 2. We've got more than 1, 3. We've got the 4, we've got 5 and 5, 6 and 6. We've just got 1, 7 over here. So this must be the 7. Also got this 5 already isolated, so I can see I've also got a solution for 9 here in the middle, which means this must be a 3, which means this must be a 5. So trying to remember all those, I'll just quickly make sure we've got rid of all the 5s, all the 9s along here, and all the 3s. So looking along this particular row, I can see I've got a pair of 2, 4, 2, 4, 2, 4, which means that's where the 2s and 4s are, which means this can't be a 4, and these cannot be 2s, which gives me a solution of 8 over here. So I'll put in the 6. It just appeared. Knock out all the 6s in that block. Knock out all the 6s in this row. And all the 6s in this column. We've got quite a few solutions that have just turned up. So we know that this is a 2, which means this one must be a 6, which means this one must be, this one's a 4. This one's a 2, which means this one's a 4. So it's all kind of falling into place. The only number remaining here is an 8. in that particular, which means this one must be a 6, which means this one's a 2. I'm being a bit lazy here, not doing all the blocking off, but it's all falling together now. That's a 4, which means this must be a 2, the only one left in that column. The only one left in this column is an 8. So I've just done a bit of a tidy up, and we can see the only numbers we still have to solve for are up here in the top right hand corner. We've used quite a few different methods in solving this. It was a hard Sudoku, but one method I sometimes use, I'll just mention quickly, when you're really stuck and you can't find any pairs or any triplets or any unique numbers in a row, column or block, sometimes it's necessary to have a guess. For example, when you have a pair of 3s and 4s, you might just say, well, I'm going to get out my pencil and do a trial and error, and I'm going to say, let's say that's a 4, and you just work your way through it, isolate all the 4s, and you keep following through as far as you can with that assumption. If you get to a dead end where you haven't kind of made any conclusive decision as to whether that's right or wrong, then that's just unfortunate. Maybe you need to try another one, and maybe try this as a 6 and see how far you get with that. Ideally, you get a mistake. If you do that 6 and you work all the way around, crossing out and blocking out, and you end up getting another 6 within this block or another 6 within this column or in that row, you know that's a mistake. And because that's a mistake, if you've been careful, you can then say, well, that has to be a 3, not a 6. So that is a method which I would call a method of last resort. You seldom need to use it, but if you do that, I think you can pretty much solve any Sudoku puzzle you come across. Right, now just to finish off this puzzle, we do have a couple solutions here which are 9 and 3, which means this must be the 6. And we have 2 pairs, 2, 4, and 2, 4, and 3, 4, 3, 4 down here, but we've got a 3 here. So this is the 4 and this is the 3. And because that's the 4, this must be the 2, and this must be the 4. And when you're learning to do puzzles like this, if you are a beginner, I do suggest that you work with a solution. And before you go too far, just double check that you've got the right number in the right place. There's no benefit in cheating yourself and putting in numbers without proving that they're correct. But it is good to just have that, because if you make a mistake halfway through or 3/4 of the way through a big puzzle like this, it is a bit frustrating. So you need to be very careful, very precise, and that's why I've gone to this method of using the small numbers and eliminating them with black dots, because I find things stand out very clearly and it's tidy, and you can see that we've managed to get a solution with this particular one by being careful. Now this particular grid approach is of interest to you. Do feel free to leave a comment in the section below, and I'd be very happy to send you a document which you can then print off as many times you want and apply it to any puzzles you do in the future with Sudoku. I hope this has been helpful. Thank you for bearing with me and getting to the end of this video.